from a galaxy far, far away.
And a bookshelf straight out of the 90s.
From Thrawn to Dantooine
And everything in between. This is Legends Look Back.
You know, technically, I'm 30. But at heart, in some ways, right, as most of us are, those of us who are watching a Star Wars podcast on this fine Thursday night, or perhaps even from the future. If so, greetings, hello. Regardless of where or when you're watching this, can you relate to me? Are you guys anything like this? When you go to, like, the big box store, you just got to take a little detour down through the toys, even if the kids aren't with you. You know what I mean? Okay.
Totally.
Every time.
Not just me. That's good. That's good. I went through the Star Wars section the other day. They had some like Obi-Wan, Darth Vader lightsabers, maybe a few other random Star Wars toys. Star Wars section was lacking a little bit. Let's be honest. You know what wasn't? And Freddy, as soon as this happened, I was like, I cannot wait to tell Freddy. But since we've been podcasting together for 3.5 years now, at this point, I never message Freddy anything during the week. I just save it for the show. In fact, it's become an inside joke whenever Rick tries to share something in Slack. He's like, I know, save it for the show. It's Freddy, I'm going down through the aisle in Walmart the other day. You know what's back with a vengeance? Beast Wars.
Oh my gosh, yes.
The Beast Wars are back, my friend.
My favorite was Cheetor back in the day.
I got a Cheetor, yeah.
Yeah,
What?
Cheetor was my. If I were to be a Beast War, right?
This
if I
is
were
a McDonald's
I think I
Cheetor.
gotta go back to the Jared one cam here for a second.
Very sad Cheetor. His head is so
Very sad
tiny
Cheetor.
for his body.
Sorry, what are
Why is
these?
his head?
What are these things? They look like like Sid from
Freddy-
Toy Story got a hold of like some random bits
Yes.
and just like threw them together.
Freddy-
This is Cheetor.
with a tiny head?
Freddie, explain Beast Wars to somebody who has no idea what we're talking about.
Okay, well, let's take you into a synopsis of Episode 1, shall we, of Beast Wars. There are two factions, of course, of the Transformers, the Autobots, and... Sorry, I'm not into the
There's-
lore of the Transformers, so
Yeah.
I apologize there. The good
I
guys
can't
and the
remember
bad
either.
guys, there we go. And as they land on this planet, for some reason...
Predacons. Is that one of them?
Predacons and... Yeah, something I forget.
Decepticons?
Decepticons,
We're
predications, I don't remember.
get it.
Yeah. Anyway, so these Transformers, of course, right? They I think naturally they land on a planet and they touch the first thing that they touch, and that's what they become. So you had a gorilla, a raptor, who I think eventually went to the good side for a bit. I don't remember what happened with that arc. A cheetah.
Oh, he did.
Tyrannosaurus
Yeah, my
Rex.
raptor. This one right here. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
A
Look at
spider.
his tail. Look at that
Nasty
wiggly
spider.
tail. Amazing.
Rhino. Don't
Too
know how all
complicated.
these-
Here
Yeah.
we go. Emily, they're Transformers, but instead of cars, they're animals.
Beasts.
Except
Oh
for this
my
one, which
God,
terrible example.
what?
It's an animal and a car. That's
And
the
this
worst
is
possible
like a
example.
thing, like a lot of people liked this.
As is, this one is also the worst example because it's a crab, a robot, and also somehow a tank. So terrible example. Here we go. Polar
kind
bear
Yeah.
slash
Unlawful
robot.
creation.
They're back.
That's awesome.
It's so the Transformers were an 80s thing, and then in the 90s, in classic 90s fashion, we took the Transformers to the next level.
Yeah.
And then we did it again and again and again.
See.
And so
I'm
they
so
were
confused.
animals. Transformers, but not cars. Animals.
Animals.
With
And
robotic
we also had
parts.
Starship Troopers. Starship
Isn't
They're
there a
Troopers.
robots.
Sith
and,
Lord that does this? Like she like makes all those like weird little like robot that like animal things that all like decay. She was in like gosh, it was in like the
Oh, she was in Bane,
Yeah,
right?
she was in Bane.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Robots that
Jared, how
Beast
do you not
Wars
remember this?
and Darth Bane?
Yes.
What?
He like has to fight through all these like necrotic animals to like get to their
Yes.
holocron.
right. I don't know if it was
like sorcery.
her or Bane, but yeah, they were just like you were right. Totally right on. They were like necrotic animal, like robot animals. It
This
was like
one's neon.
chimeras or something.
Jared.
This one has a huge... This is the 90s for you. Look at this freaking gun on the back of this sucker.
The bigger, the better.
That is so massive. This one I got for Christmas one year. He's got a big wheel on his chest. They're back, Freddy. Straight out of 1996. Go check out your local big box store. The aisles are lined with the Beast Wars. And I could not be more excited. I've not bought any of them. These are all my vintage Beast Wars. Each and every one of these is worth like over $100 now.
Yeah.
Except for
And you're just throwing them on the floor.
They're pretty much all missing pieces. Blame my younger brother, am I right? But we, however, are not here to talk about Beast Wars, sadly. We are here to talk about something else that we were doing in 1996. Some of us, Emma wasn't born, but she's here now for Legends Look Back. So, without further ado, let's start the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Legends Look Back, proudly part of the YOUTINI podcast network. This is a Star Wars books podcast for people who definitely can't dunk a basketball, but can dunkaroo with the best of them, where we celebrate our rich EU history. Dunkaroos, they're also back. Saw those in the store the other day. We also dive into our lesser-known Star Wars classics. I'm your host, Jared Mays, and I'm joined by my legendary co-hosts, Freddy C.
What was your favorite Dunkaroo? Vanilla? Chocolate? Both? Strawberry, the limited edition? I like
I've actually
vanilla.
never had a Dunkaroo. I'm sorry.
What?
Dunkaroos are, I know, I've seen them. I never got them.
They reminded me of animal crackers that you could dunk in, like, cake frosting.
Yeah, that's a perfect description.
Sounds like.
I was more into the fun dip, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
You know who knows her way around a Dunkaroo? Emily Daybeck.
I was really into all the different kinds of fake cheese, like Cheese Whiz, those like easy snacks where you have like the little red rectangular plastic spreader and you spread the fake cheese on the cracker. You know what I'm talking about?
I forgot about those.
Oh yeah, no, I was all
I
about the
love
fake
that.
cheese. That was my thing.
Wallace and
Well-
Gromit and fake cheese.
Our producer is so young that I bet that she has never
Surely
had
had
the fake
wholesome-
cheese spread by the little red plastic spreader. And that is, of course, producing for us this week, filling in for our good buddy Rick Grace. Emma, how are you, Emma?
I am well. I'm confused, but I'm well.
Welcome to the show.
Every time I come on Legends Look Back, I feel like I get an education on all things 90s, and I'm glad for it. Honestly, I think it's good for me. It's healthy.
Well, it's coming back in. It's definitely in style.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like
for sure.
everybody's
You
taken
gotta
like
know.
the worst of the 90s and made that into like a fashion trend lately. I'm very confused.
I love the worst of the 90s. Absolutely. Being from Arkansas and the home of Bill Clinton, I am all up. Anyway, I won't do that. Next
Moving
week,
right
I should
You're
wear
getting spicy.
a fat tie. You know the big fat ties like Ross wears in France, or
Yeah.
who's the one that works? The one with the
Chandler.
Chandler. Yeah.
Bing.
Chandler.
Ross.
The fattest ties on planet Earth. I've got a bunch of those. A bunch
The
of those.
90s trend was very weird, right? It was like the cars were terrible looking.
Like boxy.
Yeah, they were extremely boxy, but that was kind of like the thing, right? Digital age. Everyone
Yeah.
it was starting to go into the digital age. And, that's where I feel like they just wanted sharp edges.
Yeah, the Wendy's had atriums, and
Yeah.
the Taco Bells had these little shapes all over the place. Inspired our
remember that.
Legends Look Back logos, and Emma is like, "Please get me out of
Moving
here."
right
We are really glad.
I do have the ability to push every single button, so chop chop.
Press the button that makes everything way more angular and colorful.
Oh,
like
I wish
the 90s.
I had that button. I wish I had that button so badly.
I was just talking with a guy at church last night or the night before about our favorite 90s drink, Surge. Freddie, we should, like a Legends Look Back cold open one of these days, all just like live for the cold open, down a whole can of Surge. If we can find it, it's got to be out there somewhere, right?
What are you?
We definitely
And,
need to make sure that we're ready. Doctor,
happening to me?
we've got some doctors on board to monitor our sugar levels, so because I'm pretty sure
Is that 90s enough for you, Jared?
I was like,
Oh, is that what you're doing? I thought something was
much right
my lips are purple.
Slime.
Yeah.
For our audio listeners, Emma took me very seriously, and she made me more angular and very colorful.
That's
my
as much
face
as I
is
can
orange,
do on the video there.
and my lips are purple.
This is about the
Yes,
color
there you go.
my
Back to
TV
normal.
showed everything back in the day. So
Was it a TV you actually had to go and turn the knob to turn on? My
It
parents
was the
would be
one
like,
you had to hit on
son.
the side to get back to normal.
For the record, I literally had no idea that you guys could see what I was doing. Like, I thought I was doing it on a different screen. I had no idea it was changing it right now.
I was legitimately scared. I started to feel whatever buttons you were pressing made me feel weird.
I'm
Like
starting to feel like you were back in the 90s.
It was
You're
definitely
starting to
throwing you
feel
off.
like yellow and orange and purple.
my body, you've got a biochemistry button back there because it messed me up. I'll tell you that much. Well, we are not just here to relish in the glory that was the 90s. We are here, however, to talk about what is one of the most bonkers Star Wars stories I have ever read, and one that I have had hyped for a long time. And in fact, when our good buddy Andrew Bell on the YOUTINI team found out we were reading this, he popped into our Legends Look Back channel in all caps. He came in with a mustache and all caps and ranted about how much this is his favorite Star Wars comic of all time. That is, we are talking about Darth Vader and the Ghost Prison. You have like a ghost button that makes everybody a little bit scared, some spider webs.
I wish I did. Let me look.
You have that, what is that, Snapchat or whatever filter that makes people look like they're dancing when they're wiggling? You can use that with the ghosts.
Man,
That's
we
what
need to
ghosts
like
are for
suggest some.
Snapchat.
These
I
are
don't
We
know.
should suggest some
Boomer
features to
requests.
OBS.
It's like, we're like, do you have that filter that puts like a flower crown around my head? We're like,
What about clip art? Definitely a pro with the clip art.
That's about as
Oh,
best
yeah.
I can do on the ghost situation.
Oh
wait, opacity.
Here's my
Here we
biggest
go.
gripe. We're gonna get into to our review of all of this in a second. Ooh, now it's very spooky. I'm disappearing. One of my biggest gripes is concerning the ghosts themselves.
There
We'll
are
get
no
there in a
ghosts.
second. We'll get there. Don't spoil it yet. There's a lot of ghosts from a certain point of view, of course. Well, we are going to get into it in all of its ghostly glory here in a second. First and foremost, though, before we do, we want to give a quick shout out to our patrons who help us make the show in all of its colorful, angular glory. That is both to Jason, a new annual patron, and to Maggie Magdalife, just upgraded to become an annual patron as well. Hey, thank you so much. We spent all of the YOUTINI money, and I think Corey said he took out another 10 credit cards in order for us to afford all of the shenanigans we pulled at Celebration. And so thank you so much for helping us get afloat again. We've got some great things coming. All across the board, amazing things happening behind the scenes. In fact, my YOUTINI notifications right now, we'll just say this much: they're high. They're very high. And so, a lot of fun things in the works.
Yeah.
So, Freddy, why are we talking about Darth Vader in the Ghost Prison this particular week on Legends Look Back? And what does it have to do with this 13-pound monstrosity that I'm holding in my hands?
Yes. So that's right. On May 4th, they released the Empire Omnibus. And they had two covers, I believe, for it, which were the two original artists for the variant and for the cover themselves, which was Tsuneo Sanda and was it Dave Wilkins, I believe?
Yeah.
Is the main Dave Wilkins is the prime cover artist, and the variant covers were all done by Tsuneo Sanda. We've talked about him before on the podcast. He's a Japanese artist, and he's got a lot of Japanese flair in his art, and especially if you look at some of his. There's one with Yoda meditating on a rock, and it's like a Japanese-esque waves coming in, and just they can't touch Yoda. He's got this force dome. So beautiful art covers, and in that omnibus, there's quite a bit that it collects here. So I don't know, Jared, you want me to go over these? You want the team to go over some of this, or?
Yeah,
thinking?
the basic gist of it, I don't know that we need to read every last entry here. We are not going to be covering all, 13 pounds of the Empire Omnibus because ain't nobody got time for that, and it's summertime. In fact, Emily didn't even read every single page of the 5 issues we asked her to read.
oh my gosh, I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear it. I was at my family's lake house, which is really a double wide on like a rural Alabama lake. And
Oh, yeah, your lake house sounds like you really had it
Listen.
rough.
I had to kill several types of insects. I'm not getting into it. But long story, I didn't have the service to read the whole thing. It wouldn't download it all. So I read everything but 2 pages, and it really bugged me. Anyway.
Which pages were they?
I don't want to know.
They don't tell me what happened on them because obviously you don't know.
Based
but
on context. I feel like I got the gist.
they weren't the last 2 pages,
No.
were they? Because
Last was
we'll
a
just say
big-
this
that
much.
was-
Something big happens. Okay.
That was my favorite part.
Well,
Oh my
Jared,
gosh.
I'm looking right here, and as Freddy was talking about the covers, I just realized you gave me the covers to show, so I just want to show them really quickly.
Yeah, show them off,
The
please.
Wilkins cover I have first. This is so cool. Like,
Ooh,
I don't
these
even
are
know. Is he
nice.
cutting something in half? I don't even
That's
know.
the cover to Darth Vader in the Ghost Prison #6. I know that.
Oh,
Wait, there's not 6
There's
pictures.
only
Hold on.
5.
Number 5. Number 5. The 6th one is a ghost. Ha!
Emily
That's the
starts
ghost.
panicking.
It didn't download a whole episode. What?
Darth Vader in the Ghost Prison #5 because I got to it and I was like, hold up. Wait a minute.
That's legit.
I've
What
seen
is
that
he
before.
slicing in half?
And it is actually one of the covers here.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know. What is he slicing? Let us know in the chat. What do you think
Beautiful
he's
cover.
It
slicing?
looks like a crate to me.
Or
But
droid
why would
of
he
some
be
sort.
doing that?
Oh, yeah, maybe a droid. I'm not sure.
Yeah, interesting. I also
There,
have
there, that's
the-
right. There are droids in that he does massacre. Whole bunch of them that
Wow.
seem to be fairly
Oh, that's right.
easy.
Yep, there's
Yeah.
droids. They were cool droids. I liked the droids.
Yeah.
Not the most formidable of the
The
droids.
Tsuneo
but-
Sanda cover. So
Yes,
there's
is
2
it
of them in there,
this-
Emily.
this
You'll
one?
see. I believe.
Yeah, that's the one I got.
Yeah, that's the main cover. The omnibus cover there. Look at that.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which one did you get, Freddy?
So there's I got the Tsuneo Sanda cover because I'm just a humongous fan of his art. So I've got this one here. If you look, Emily or Emma, there's another Tsuneo Sanda cover in there for the variant of the first.
I see it. I see it.
Yeah,
This one?
check that out. Yeah, I think this is. Is this it?
That's awesome.
That was one of the
I've
These
seen
are,
that.
these are the
Yeah,
only
that's
2 with Tsuneo Sanda as the name.
Yeah, this is it. This is the cover for the first the first variant cover.
Because that was
So
one
another,
of the
awesome.
another piece of his
what was
work.
it, the panels in the book, like in the in like the second, or I think it's the second. Gosh, not chapter.
Is Vader walking
episode?
away from the Sith infiltrator? Because that's a cool shot.
Okay.
He's like on Coruscant while it's burning, and there's the light coming in, and his helmet's reflecting the light. It's very detailed.
It's like
Great
in
use of
movies
light
when
and smoke
when
and
like
fire.
when you cool people walk away from explosions. It's like that.
Is that not how you walk away from explosions? Because
Every time.
okay, perfect. Normally, when I walk away from explosions, it's like pointing like it was somebody else's fault. Wasn't it? No, actually, it's only dragging my kids away from the said explosion because it was probably their fault. Well, yeah, excellent art. I got the Sonda cover. Now, we're covering these just tonight. We're going to talk about Darth Vader in the Ghost Prison as emblematic of this entire omnibus. We're going to talk about the omnibus at least a little bit here. These have been coming out quite regularly, 2 or 3 a year from Marvel, repackaging the Dark Horse comics that we know and love, and there's still so many more to come in the future that have been announced. There's a new Rebellion omnibus, and we're hopeful for what will come after this as well. They're extremely collectible. They look great on the shelf. I really love these. It's been a great way to get back into them. Sadly, I didn't own this one digitally and actually read it from this massive collectible piece in bed. I mean,
That's
it was
rough.
just... at one point, I was trying
If
to
you
do my
fall asleep,
stretches.
you risk a lot reading that in bed.
Yeah,
Because if
really.
you fall asleep and you drop that thing, you're gonna have like a broken nose.
At one point, I was trying to do my stretches on the floor and had this thing suspended up over my head, and my wife was like, "What are you doing?"
That's
I was like,
asking
"I'm
for it."
committed to the show, and I don't have any spare time this week." Well, I do want to show off one more thing as we're talking about the cover art here. We've been discussing in the Discord how after the Knights of the Old Republic omnibus, they've pivoted to putting the cover art in this black box. What is your opinion on putting the cover in the box?
I mean,
It looks kind of classy. I'm also kind of frustrated.
I don't like it at all. I despise it. And my reasoning is I feel like the art is so beautiful. And I know that we're just seeing a snippet of the art, right? Because they take pieces of a bigger piece. And I know that if they were to maybe put some of the extended art around the cover. I feel like it would just be a little bit more beautiful and collectible. But it's hard to hate because it also gives it this like classic.
Yeah, you get
this
several of them
classic
lined up.
coffee style book. I don't know how to describe it. It just looks very classic.
Yeah.
So
Well, it doesn't
it's hard to be
cover
mad.
Can I
any of
show
the
you
art
something?
with the words, which is nice. That's probably why they made
That's
that
a good
choice.
point.
Yeah.
The spines look good. I like that they put a little thumbnail of the cover art on the spine.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've revealed this on the show before. We have a little strip tease here on Legends Look Back. I'm gonna take the dust jacket off and blow your friggin' minds. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Gosh.
Oh,
Oh,
my
They
goodness.
holy
print
smokes.
more art
That was
That
way sexier than
is
I
what we're
thought
talking
it would
about.
be.
on the actual. So
What?
after I discovered this,
That's awesome.
after
Oh
I
my
discovered this, I went to
gosh.
all my omnibuses,
Omnibuy.
went over there
Wow.
and took all their dust jackets off, and they're gorgeous. I'm telling you.
So every single omnibus has something like that underneath.
It does.
Yeah,
they're-
y'all
and they're
vamp for a
That's
second. I'll
awesome.
find them and we'll show them
Oh
off.
my
Yeah.
goodness. I mean, that's a wrap
So,
around.
that's what I was talking about right there. For those audio listeners, what Jared showed there was he took the dust jacket off, and it was the entire cover was almost like concept art from the comic book, maybe like a cover that didn't quite make it. So as Jared looks right now for his additional omnibuy, and hopefully he doesn't
Knock one off the shelf.
pass away in the process.
Oh my gosh, these things are friggin'
You can
humongous.
throw out your back, lift it
He's getting
forward
his
at a time.
workout
What are
in
you
now.
doing? It's one at a time.
Yeah.
That's like over 50
Chug some water here.
pounds right there.
Yeah, so these books are beautiful. Jared, you need to show this off. For those who don't know
We get the one
what
can.
these are, for those that are also on the audio version of this podcast, you really should check out the video because this art is beautiful.
It
All right,
really
here's something fun with all this. I have totally forgotten what's underneath the dust jackets on all
Oh
of these
my
Ooh,
because
it's
it
a
was
surprise.
maybe 6 months.
Jared reacts.
It's right after I moved in. Right after I moved into the house, I finally peeled the cellophane off of my omnibuy. It was a big thing. I didn't do it for months and months and months because I was going to move, and everybody said how good that the Knights of the Republic omnibus smelled, and I was like, I want to sniff it so bad. But I also needed to preserve it because we were moving, so I finally did. I cracked the cellophane, and we're going to sniff it right here live on air. Okay, here's a little canon piece for you, Emma. The Darth Vader
Yay.
omnibus by Charles Sewell.
We love
Look
that.
at this. We're going to peel the dust jacket
Perfect
off.
timing.
And Vader is
Ooh.
there.
Oh, yeah. That's
Look at
awesome.
that.
That is so rad.
Man,
Looks
you
good
don't
with
even
like
need
the
the
color
dust
scheme in
covers.
my room too.
Oh,
and Palps is
shoot. Okay.
clothes. So
Clothed.
who needs it?
Of course.
Jared, that was
Oh,
a good
man.
pick with the Charles Soule
Yeah,
100th
this
issue
is
coming out
my,
yesterday.
I haven't read it yet. Don't tell me.
I'm not going to tell you.
This is
Knights-
one of my
go ahead,
favorite
Freddie.
crackings. You just got to do
Oh
it.
my
It's
gosh.
one of my most
Oh,
favorite.
You're
It
getting
does-
a free
it does
sniff
smell
in there.
really-
Okay.
Really
it is.
good. Really
Ready?
good. Okay,
Check this
here
out.
it comes.
Look how
Knights of the
beautiful
Republic
this is.
omnibus. I want to
Oh.
get it one clean peel, like when you get a banana in one go. You know what I'm talking about? Here we go.
Whoa.
Look
That
at
is
this.
so
Oh,
different.
wow.
The rat ghoul is right there in the middle, spreading for everybody.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, and there's a rat ghoul on the
Wow.
back too. We'll call him a bat ghoul. You see what I'm saying?
All right. Somebody clip that.
With the very different vibe. The droids and Ewoks omnibus that I bought when I was thrifting with Rick. Oh, this one.
Is it
has
C-3PO in his robe?
a line drawn
that?
art. There is something, but it's faint and hard to
Oh.
see live here. Okay, a little bit of
Like
C-3PO
a shocked
is.
C-3PO.
If you can't see it, C-3PO is making this face. Probably because he's looking at that rat ghoul down there. And then finally, I've got the Rise of
Ooh,
the
yes.
Sith omnibus.
This is going to be good, I think.
Okay, not as much success getting it in one go. I don't know if I've opened
That
this one
looks
yet.
bigger than the others.
And
Does, doesn't it? Oh
There we
my
go.
goodness.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
Oh.
I've made a
Love it.
huge mess in my room here. There's dust jackets all over the floor,
Toys
Beast Wars
everywhere.
over here and over there, and Pokemon cards over there.
Look at
Oh,
that.
Oh, look at that
snap.
Gamorrean. Or Gamorrean if you're British.
Gamorrean.
Look at that thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these are beautiful.
Beautiful.
I almost feel like the dust jackets are almost a waste to keep on, which you want to keep on, but why? There's so much beauty underneath.
A
Yeah.
little give and take.
I wonder what happens if you take the dust jacket off of Ruins of Dantooine. Does it look a little bit better under there?
There is no dust jacket because it's only a paperback.
Yep.
But it's under the cover that you discover its real beauty, because it's pretty good. Listen to some of it on your beach there, Freddy, over there in California. I'm just watching the dolphins swim along, listening to Ruins of Dantooine, read by a robot because there's no audiobook, and I had to do text-to-speech. Anyway, that was a weird time, but a great time. All right, so there's a lot in this book. In particular, now I've got to find it. It's around here somewhere. It covers the entire Purge storyline that I have not yet read. It covers Darth Vader and the Lost Command. It covers the entire Dark Times series. And then finally it concludes with the 5-issue miniseries, Darth Vader and the Ghost Prison. Had any of y'all read this before tonight's show?
It had been a long time, to the point where I forgot what happened, and reading it felt fresh again.
That's fun.
That's nice.
So I would say I read this probably in like the latter half of 2012, maybe 2013.
It's a very specific time
but
frame.
reading it again,
Nice.
woo-wee.
Well, because it came out in 2012.
Oh, okay.
So
It's like, wow, I don't know.
yeah,
I remember.
Emily's like, that's a very specific number.
I haven't read any of the other issues because this week has been very busy. But obviously I read Darth Vader and the Ghost Prison for this. The Purge series sounds interesting. Like that's an
Right?
interesting title to me.
This comic
I had
series has got me more interested in comics than any other comic I've ever read.
Good.
Yay!
Oh
Awesome.
my goch, it had everything. I'm so excited to talk about it.
You mean it was better than what did we read?
Oh, what
Emily?
was that?
Hold on. It's in one of my Omnibuy. I'll find it.
Oh really? Okay. It's like it was Jedi.
Not Tales.
It's got
no.
Xanatos.
Dark Jedi. Dark
Yes, it's something
Dark-
like that.
Jedi the
something.
Dark Side.
Jedi: The Dark Side. You mean it's better than that, Emily?
Yes.
Isn't that the one with
You could say so.
Qui-Gon and Xanatos?
Yeah, that was
Yes. Yes.
it. Yeah, no,
that was
this one
interesting.
It was.
Interesting.
Yeah, this one.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that was a good.
that's a
time.
great one. I mean, it's not great, but it's good in its own way. If you've read all 19 books of the Jedi Apprentice series,
The entire
Which I'm
episode,
sure you
Emily
both
and I
have.
were like,
Who knows
huh?
what's happening?
I don't
right
know
now.
what's going on.
there's a song by famous rock band Rush called Xanadu.
Santa.
Xanadu.
Rush.
If you know, you know.
Is
And
that like an
every-
actual word or?
I don't know what it means, but it's a
I feel like
cool
it's an
song.
animal, maybe. Why does it sound like an animal?
It does.
Yeah,
Or like a,
sounds
or
like an
a
animal.
tribe of
And-
people. The Xanadu.
And
Yeah, like-
so every time
yeah.
I read Xanatos about Qui-Gon's former apprentice,
Xanadu.
I always read it in the Rush voice. Maybe some other people out there on the internet that'll resonate with them. It definitely didn't
No,
resonate with y'all,
definitely
so
not.
swing and a
you know,
miss.
It did resonate. This story. Oh my gosh, the art was gorgeous.
I'm glad.
Anyway, I don't want to
You know, we're-
derail by just ranting about how much I love this, but I loved it.
We're about to jump into a lot of this stuff,
Yes.
but I have some questions for Emma because Emma's a canon person. So I'm curious to see a canon, someone who's been in canon read this. How does it compare? What is different? Because this is the Dark Horse era, I believe, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little grittier. So I'm curious to feel what you felt when you saw this versus what you've been used to recently.
Yeah, this is an interesting question. I definitely noticed Vader is characterized very differently in canon than he was in Legends, at least in this story. In canon, you get more of his emotions, you get more of his thoughts and what his visions are like, and you get like inside his head. And here, I mean, I think he might have like 3 text bubbles total. He doesn't speak very much. He's very violent, which is similar to how he is in canon. Like he can be very gruesome in canon. So I definitely saw some similarities. Definitely saw some differences. I have to say, like I'm happier with a more vocal Vader and a more emotionally deep Vader, I would say. Obviously, he doesn't show that to people, but in comics, we get to see that. So I think
It gives you more
it's fun.
context, right?
Yeah.
Of who he is. Yeah, that
It
makes
makes you
sense.
feel bad for him, and I think that's always like the most interesting type of villain is a villain you feel bad for.
I totally agree.
Vader
with that.
is
And you gotta
just
get a
made
taste of
for the
that,
comics.
right? So we'll save it, but we
Yeah.
definitely get a taste of like I feel
That's right.
what
You're,
Vader could
you're
be
jogging my
thinking.
memory. Yeah.
yeah, but
If
yeah.
there's-
Anyway,
If there's two characters who were just born for comic books, it's Darth Vader and
I was
Boba
gonna
Fett.
say Blood Ties was a
You're correct.
lot like this. It was very much like
You just
yeah.
see that thing, smash it, shoot it, slice it with a lightsaber.
And now in comics, we get a more, we get to see more of, what Boba Fett is like thinking and feeling in War of the Bounty Hunters, which is interesting. So it's interesting how like both of
I like
these
that.
characters are very prolific in both Legends and canon comics, but they're characterized very differently. So it is interesting to see the differences, I have to say.
wow.
cool.
Would you believe me if I told you that I prefer the Legends version?
Yes, I absolutely do believe you.
He's not as emotionally revealing, and he's a little bit harder.
mysterious.
Well, I think it's like a
Yeah,
product of
and
the
more
times,
mysterious.
right? Because like now
Yeah.
like, we
For
want
sure.
a more complex villain because we've kind of seen it all, and like back then it was still kind
That
of
makes sense.
novel. Kind of we wanted like black and white, politically. We could dive real deep.
It could
Sure.
also be that George had more of a hold on these characters,
Yeah.
and people were just like, "Yeah, let's just not write too much." Keep
I
it
think that there's a
simple.
lot of mystery still surrounding Darth Vader that nobody wanted to touch, like they were afraid to touch
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah.
now we've touched it enough that we can keep building on it. So,
Cool.
yeah.
And with all of that, we're going to get into it. So there is a lot here for us to talk about. I'm so excited. And I do think to that point that you made a second ago about his slicing things and blowing things up, that's one of my bigger gripes with this is that it is very much of this sweet spot of a time period of like 2006 to 2000, until the Disney, I guess, 2014 around there, the Disney transition where this is very much like your late 2000s action hero. And so we'll get there in a second. So this, of course, we're not going to talk about the entire Dark Horse, well, they're all Dark Horse comics. The Marvel Omnibus, what do we call these things? You got the Legends Epic Collections, and then there's the Del Rey
Omnibus.
Essential.
Oh,
These are just, it's just a Marvel Omnibus? Is that what
I
this
think
is?
so, yeah.
There's
I
no
don't-
fancy,
I don't think they have a special name for it.
massively long
Marvel's
name.
Essential Legends Epic
Yeah.
Omnibus.
Okay, that sounds right. Well, we're going to call it that. We're going to call it that.
Jared's like, we're missing some names here, people. It isn't.
Right.
Should be at
It
least
can't
twice
compare
as many
to
words.
New Jedi, Star Wars, New Jedi Order, Force Heretic 1. I can't even remember the title of the actual book because I've gotten caught up in all of its first names. What's the word for that? Prequels. All right.
Wow.
So I do want to play a little game though before we summarize the book.
Ooh, I love
Guess
names.
how many pages are in
Oh no.
Star Wars: The Empire Omnibus Volume 1 by Marvel, containing no Marvel comics, but they're all Dark Horse. How many pages are in this bad
Are we
boy?
playing by Price is Right rules? Don't go over?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. No, just like the closest guess wins.
Okay. I'm going to guess 1,200.
1,200, very good.
Wow.
Yeah, Price is Right is more fun. So don't...
466.
Okay, keep going. 466, 1,200, very different numbers. Freddy?
Yeah, I would go 800.
And 800 in the chat. We're getting a couple people to guess. Skooma Joe says 1,000. Rocky Zim says $1. Hold on, that's not the way
What
this
is
game works.
589?
That's also the wrong game.
All right, here it is. Ready? 992 pages. So whoever guessed
Oh.
1,000,
That was Freddie. Freddie always
you.
wins.
Skooma.
No, wait, no. It was
The
Freddie.
Price is Right rules, you lose.
Freddy's
Nia
was
won
8.
because she guessed
Yeah,
801.
Nia won with
801.
801. She got
That's
that
how
in.
you play. That's how you play the game.
Got it in right under the wire. That is a huge omnibus, and I just love how much content they can cram into these things.
Yeah.
However,
Seriously,
we didn't read all the
yeah.
content. We just read 5 issues, and we're going to talk about those tonight. Darth Vader and the Ghost Prison was released in 2012, published by Dark Horse Comics. It was written by Hayden Blackman. Does anybody else know anything else that Hayden Blackman has worked on? He's prolific in the 2000s Legends
Did he?
world.
Oh my goodness! Did he do Open Seasons? No.
I don't know. Maybe. That was not on my list, so we're going to look it up.
I don't know why. I think I'm completely wrong, but
He wrote a lot of comics.
He was the project lead on Star Wars Galaxies.
Why do you bring
Was
Star
he?
Wars Galaxies
Yeah.
up in like literally every show?
Open Seasons. Open Seasons was by Hayden Blackman.
Oh,
You know,
right.
it
Wow.
just
Both got
permeates
things that were
Legends.
not on my list. To be fair, my list is 2 things. So there's more.
Ooh. I feel
Okay,
like he
very
did
good.
something with Darth Maul. Oh.
Well, here's one for you, Freddie. He also was involved in the writing of Ruins of Dantooine.
Oh,
Now,
yes. That's why he did Star Wars
exactly
Galaxies.
How involved? There's another author, Veronica Roth, something. I think it's a hyphenated name. I apologize, Veronica. I quite liked the book. But his name is also on the cover, so we're counting it. All right, what else? Darth Maul something, says Emma.
Maybe. I'm not super confident in that.
Any other guesses?
The Force Unleashed.
We've got The Force Unleashed.
Yeah.
He is the project lead and the lead writer on The Force Unleashed. I actually watched some Twitch streams a few years ago.
Great
with
call.
him and Sam Witwer and David Collins, the 3 of them playing the game together.
Oh, that sounds
Wow.
awesome.
Oh
That's
my
like
gosh.
It really was.
the project lead of the game, the music designer and director of the music sound of
And the droid.
and the droid, yeah, and the actual voice actor.
Yeah. So I got David Collins and Sam Witwer to sign a piece at Celebration. And I think I scared David by accidentally threatening his life, but it was a joke. I didn't mean it.
Oh
and
my
It's the most
It was
Jared
very-
thing ever.
It was very awkward. So I love you, and I'm sorry, and I would never do anything to harm you or your loved ones.
I will hurt you if you don't sign this.
Said something about, like, we were looking for a pen, and he was like, oh, I just got to find something to sign this with. I was like, sign it with whatever you want. You can sign in blood for all I care. And he goes, whose blood? Not mine.
That was I feel like we had some similar instances. It's like when I asked Bane, the Bane cosplayer, I was like, "Can you stab me with your lightsaber?" I was, and he was just like, "Can we just flex our arms?" I was like, "All right."
So good. Okay, here's some other things by Hayden Blackman. So prolific of the 2000s, especially Dark Horse Comics, but even video games, right? This period of Legends. We've not talked about him nearly enough on the show. Jango Fett Open Seasons, one of the best Star Wars comics ever written.
Yeah.
Period.
Starfighter Crossbones, Star Wars Obsession, one of my favorite Legends comics. X-Wing Rogue Leader, he wrote 10 issues of Star Wars Republic. He wrote some stories in Star Wars Tales, some Clone Wars adventures, wrote a Purge story, The Force Unleashed, Darth Vader and the Lost Command, Darth Vader and the Voice, the Ghost Prison.
I thought you said you
worked
had 2 on your list.
a ton of
think he
video
found
games. I
another
switched to a
list.
different list because my list was incomplete. My list was he wrote Darth Vader in the Ghost Prison and The Force Unleashed, and co-wrote in some form or fashion Ruins of Dantooine. I just wanted to make sure we got Ruins of Dantooine in there, right? This is illustrated by Augustin Alessio, and that is my redneck pronunciation there. Also covers by Dave Wilkins. And now, were you saying that Sonda has covers for this too?
Yeah, I believe it's only issue 1 where he has a variant cover. I don't believe he did any of the other.
Okay, not the main covers.
Yeah.
And I forgot to write a summary. So we're going to do this Bible study style. And here's what I mean. We're going to go around the horn and summarize in like 1 to 2 sentences apiece what the story is. And we got to get it in like 1 minute here. So we're going to go around the horn. Each one of us is going to take a turn trying to summarize the plot. And together, between the 4 of us, we're going to tell the good folks what Darth Vader and the Ghost Prison
This
is all
sounds
about.
extremely scary to me, but okay.
Yes, so a form of Bible study is like you read the story, and then you close it, and then you have to retell what happened in the story, and so it's like a good, like a little learning mechanism there.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do it with this, which is very much the opposite of the Bible. So that's fun. Okay, I'll start us off. There is a lieutenant who has finished his academy training on Coruscant, and his name is Tom, and his face is all burned, and he graduates valedictorian, and then there's
Of one
a
of the
huge
schools.
and then there's huge explosion on Coruscant, and everything goes to pieces. Freddy, you're next.
All right, can I do this like Tom Kane? The Republic has fallen. The Republic has fallen. The
Yes.
Empire must survive. In order to do so, a fresh new wave of graduates comes through the Imperial Academy. And what happens next is your guess.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so it does take place in that right after Order 66, like very early Empire kind of story, my understanding. Okay, Emily, you're next.
There's a coup! And the whole
Yeah.
empire gets overthrown. Vader barely escapes with his life. Emperor Palpatine is presumed dead. And next thing you know, Vader has teamed up with this valedictorian of oh my gosh, my brain.
Imperial
Yeah,
Academy.
the Imperial Academy. And they go to the Jedi temple to find more information about a secret.
Which was super rad.
Secret
Yeah.
prison.
Yeah. Okay, Emily, we didn't warn Emma. We didn't warn you. Your names are so
I
freaking
know.
similar.
That's
Oh
been
my
really
gosh.
trying to
Okay.
pay off.
Emma, what is you're up next? What's your summary?
Okay. They go to the ghost prison, which is hidden by some sort of strange mechanism no one understands. They find a bunch of prisoners, like hundreds of them, and they just decide very intelligently to just release them all and fight it out for themselves. And then they convince them to join their makeshift army by blackmail and coercion.
But only 33 of them
Awesome.
make it. There's blood everywhere.
Right, out of like the 287 or something like that.
I'm gonna have to get that Tom Kane thing done. I like that.
It's pretty good.
Those
I've
are
heard
all
worse.
really cool. Those are all very good summaries, honestly. It's crazy because there's so many things that happen, right? The Republic has fallen because it talks about some of that stuff, and it talks about the morale of the Empire, right? Everyone's kind of not feeling it yet, and there's still insurgency across the, I guess the galaxy, and what else? I mean, I feel like it's just they're trying to get power, and it's like the fledgling era of the Empire. I mean, we're talking maybe like year 1, year 2 of
Yeah,
the
that's my
Empire.
understanding. Don't tag Trevor, or he'll come in here and tell us what month and day it was.
Actually.
We love him for it. We love
Luckily,
him for
it's
it.
like early morning over there, I think. So I think
For
we're
sure.
safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and let's see, what have we missed? There's a flashback, a great flashback, where in the Jedi Temple, they're looking for the location of the ghost
Yes.
prison, and Vader finds this hologram secret recording of a Jedi Council meeting where they are super shady about the fact that they're putting all of these like dark Jedi defectors, Confederate generals into this secret Jedi prison somewhere that nobody knows about. And Anakin had gone to the council and was angstily demanding that he know where all of his captives had been taken, and
Why
they
do you
won't
want
tell
to know
him.
that, by the way? That's so weird. Like, did he want to like go torture them or something?
I think
just-
I mean, let's go into like the psyche of Darth Vader during that time. He wanted to be a good guy, right? I feel like he really wanted to be a good guy, and he wanted to do right by everybody, everyone. And imagine you're the top performing general in the army, and you're just like, how come I don't know where these people at? He may have guaranteed them, he's not going to kill them or safety, and then they disappear, and he's like, are you killing them? Yeah, he's having an ethics moment, I would say.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it's a good explanation for sure. And then the massive plot thing that we have not yet mentioned is the general is fried by The guy that's overthrowing, what's his name, Gintis, is the
man.
one who's staging the coup. He's
Those
absolutely
scenes.
fried like some KFC by Emperor Palpatine from behind, right? You can't even see him. It's like shooting him in the back, and except for with lightning instead of a gun. And yeah, it was a beautiful page, the lightning bursting onto the page. It felt like it was bursting out of the page. It was just awesome. And then at the very end, Tom has done such a good job at all of this. Good boy, Tom. In fact, he's done so well that Vader kills him.
So
And he's-
unceremoniously. He's like, will you mentor me? And Vader's like, nah. And just tosses him.
He says, never, those are the last words of the entire story, aren't they? Never
I think-
stand for rivals.
Yeah.
Didn't Darth Vader say, and I quote, "Palps, get open, alley-oop"?
I remember that for sure.
He in fact did say that.
It was there. So, by the way, spoiler warning. This is spoiler-heavy territory. So if you have not yet read Darth Vader in
That's
the
a
Ghost
pretty
Prison.
big one at the end.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's a
Did he
big one.
alley-ooped Tom? No.
Here's the big
Tom who?
lightning page. Look at this thing. Vader
Oh my gosh.
cooking this guy. Absolutely
Yeah.
roasting him.
Posterized.
Very much
Yeah.
posterized, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, look, let's get into the characters and then the overarching questions. There's two main original characters, and the fact that I have not read any of Purge or Dark Times has me wondering, are these characters in anything else that I've not yet read? I've read a good amount of Legends comics, but I've not yet read Purge or Dark Times. So we just skipped to the very end of the omnibus, right? But it's not necessary, I don't think, that you read those before you read this. At least I hope not. I'm not 100% sure if either of these characters are in anything else in Legends comics, but at least my understanding is that both Tom and Moff Tracha are original characters. So let's talk about the differences and similarities between these two bad boys, good bad boys, in Darth Vader in the Ghost Prison. Lieutenant Tom, first and foremost. How would you describe him, and how is he different from Moff Tracha?
It's funny because I would say Tom is very much the studious kind of, the one that was always in the library reviewing files, very technical, maybe a loner, and he has complete unfettered faith in a being that he probably barely knows, which is always very interesting to me, how he could be so loyal to something that he really doesn't know anything about. So, bit of a follower there, but too smart for his own good.
He reminds me of Thrawn. Very studious, but
Okay.
kind of not people smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, lacking charisma for sure. -2 charisma if he were a D&D player, right?
He's like,
Awesome.
Tom is like the goody two shoes, but not in a good way. In a lot of cases, although it made him survive, I suppose. But I also think he's a great example of what happens when you meet your heroes. Like, he met the headmaster guy and like worshipped him, and then literally the next day after he met him,
So
he
true.
threw a coup.
What terrible timing.
Yeah.
Like, I guess
Yeah.
like all of my friends and my like fearless leader, they're all lying to me.
Yeah.
I was like, okay with it.
One thing I didn't... Yeah. One thing I noticed, or at least I tried to see if there was a theme, was to see if there were different impressions during different face showings of him, right? Because he had the burnt face, then he had the
Yeah,
Two-Face,
he had
and
two
then he had
faces.
the normal face. And I feel like when they showed the burnt side of his face, he was more ruthless. When they showed the unburnt side of his face, he was kind of like, but why do you want me to? I can't do that. That's against the rules,
No
kind of guy.
way. I did not
And
pick
then-
up on that
I
detail.
didn't
Are you
either.
serious?
That's excellent.
Possibly.
That is awesome.
I'd have to go through and like look at every scene and reanalyze it. And when
I
they
gotta go
showed
find that
both
shot where he
faces, it
shoots
was
that
like
guy.
critical moments. So
Freddy,
you
you're a
might
Oh,
want
where
to
he's
check
like
that out.
in between, wavering between his loyalties.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
That's a
interesting.
great
That is
detail.
beautiful.
I love that. And that's part of what makes this so good. Is it's a thought-provoking
Yeah.
kind of exploring the gray areas of Star Wars kind of story, which is on the one hand why I think it's successful. On the other hand, part of why I'm a little bit eye-rolly with it is I kind of like the good guy is heroic and inspires you to want to be a better man kind of story, Tales of the Jedi sort of thing. There's a lot of gray areas in that one too. But anyway, this to me is very indicative of the times of the 2000s with your gray Jedi, dark and broody. We want Star Wars to be dark and gritty kind of thing. You see what I'm saying?
I think that they were going for like a certain vibe with this miniseries, and I think
It's all about the vibes for sure.
Yes, I think the vibe was that reality show, What Would You Do, but in Star Wars.
That's
Y'all know what I'm
interesting.
talking
One's
about? Like
lost
they place
on me,
hidden
unfortunately.
cameras and they like see what like ethical decisions people would make in a
Yeah.
certain situation.
Oh, okay.
Y'all know what I'm talking
Some
about?
guy might lose a wallet, and
Yeah.
they have like the camera on the wallet, and the
Yeah.
person's like, "Do I take it? Like, what do I do?" And
Yeah.
you get to see their outcome, and they get embarrassed.
Yeah, that would
Yeah, I
make,
can
Yeah.
see
that
this
would
as
make
an
sense.
exercise in ethics.
It is
Definitely.
because you've got one guy who wants to be the emperor, and he's like, "We need to stop sending." Well, he had a kind of some attachment issues there, right? My sons, I understand. Like, yes, they like that's how they all treated each other. They were all like his father, and they were his sons, and
That's General Gintis, the one who's performing the coup.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
His basic idea on why he does so, I think, makes him an interesting kind of foil for Vader here, is that he says that the Empire is sending off all these students that I've trained to die.
yeah.
And they just keep coming back and being sent to the graveyard and the incinerator.
Yeah.
And so he stages the coup so as to save his quote-unquote sons.
Yeah, there's definitely
Yeah, trying to fill in the gaps since I didn't write the summary.
appropriate attachment. For sure.
Can I
Yeah.
just
Very
say while we're on
interesting
the topic of him, I would like to just point out Gentis is super sexist. He's like all these fine men and all my sons like, boy, do you not have any women among your ranks? Like,
Well, see,
my God.
that's
I didn't even notice that, believe it or not.
really?
I would say that's kind of like the early 2000s, right? Where
Yeah.
people started becoming more aware of what they were saying and what they were doing, but not quite, right? There was still, you go to McDonald's, you want a boy or a girl toy? They look inside. Okay, you got a baby daughter. Here's the girl toy. It's like, no. We were talking about this before the show.
Keep
were.
keep those
Right?
sky dancers out of my car. That's all I've got to say.
The sky dancers.
Those are the best ones.
Oh man,
They can sky dance on out of here, but
what was it?
Yeah.
Like you would like rip it and it would fly up.
But if it was like
It's
Vader with like a
friggin'
lightsaber.
Beyblade. Do you know what those
Yeah.
are? Like the
Oh, yeah.
freaking whip it.
the
It's like a
helicopter
spinning top.
sabers.
Let it rip.
Oh, I would love that. Let's somebody make the mashup of sky dancers and the Inquisitors.
Oh, heck yeah.
Sabercopters, please.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I would love that.
Great.
Yeah, that's a great. I'm glad you pointed that out, Emma. This story, that's kind of its problem for me, and we'll rate it at the end. Don't let me forget. The fact that it is very much like the book that you would hand to your, I don't know, dude bro Star Wars friend.
Yeah.
I
You want a
agree,
hardcore Star Wars story? I've got the story for you.
Yeah, like very.
If I'm
like,
not mistaken,
war
I think there's
and
only
violence and
Yeah. There's only one female character, right, in this whole story.
Yeah, and she's used as the love interest.
But there's the
Couple.
Jedi
There's like
that
the
gets
Jedi,
skewered.
Yeah, the Jedi who is in charge of the prison.
The one
She
who we saw in
dies
like two
immediately.
panels.
Don't even know her name.
That's right.
and
She
they're,
has
like, very
one
clear about
line,
that.
and then
She's like, "Oh,
it's
thank
the-
you for relieving me." Boom.
they left a Jedi to protect the prison. One Jedi, and she's like, "Oh man, I've been waiting ages for somebody to come and relieve me." And Vader says, "You are relieved of duty." And skewers her.
I mean, it is a pretty epic moment, and like what a I don't know, mind blowing. And there were like the girls at the party that the little
Oh
graduates.
yeah, that they were like eyeballing.
yeah, like okay.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
felt
there you
super
go. So,
icky. Yeah.
not many. Clearly,
that is
a product of
those
its time.
elements are one of my bigger complaints with the book. But let's focus on the characters. So up against Tom as a foil, and also they're supposed to have some similarities. Is one of the strangest and most thought-provoking characters in all of Legends, Moff Tracha. Now, when
Oh,
you
man.
hear Imperial Moff, what comes to mind?
Gray-haired old man.
Tarkin.
Yeah, Tarkin.
Gray-haired old man, big
Old human
cheekbones,
dude.
fuzzy bunny slippers.
British.
Yeah, maybe. British
Very
old
important.
man, as absolutely.
Very important.
Moff Tracha, however, definitely hits the
It's like
gym
a
with his
steampunk
cyborg
moth.
arms.
Ooh, he is swole.
Yeah.
My goodness.
He is swole, but his arms are cyborg.
He
Yeah.
also might be a Vader cosplayer. I don't know.
He has, all right, so for our audio listeners, his eyes have been lost.
I guess
And
in that explosion
destroyed.
or
Look like
whatever
red
happened. Yeah.
bug eyes.
He has
Yes.
red bug eyes, and he has swole metal arms.
Oh wait, I have a picture.
You know, it almost looked like he squat maybe 500 pounds a little too soon, and his eyes kind of
Yeah.
filled with blood, and they popped out a little bit.
Little
So
So he's got a KOTOR breath mask. He's got the Moff insignia on the, I don't know, his chest
His-
plate
Some
there.
beautiful
that looks
delts.
like a tank top.
He wears a tank, so he fits in here with Legends Look Back with Freddy. And then he's way ahead of the times with the shave, very much a Gen Zer.
He's got
with
a
his
what is it?
shaved sides of
He's
his
got
head.
high and tight.
Very high, very tight. Very, very high, very tight.
Yeah,
For
definitely.
sure.
But
But
I
he
pronounce
wears
it
a turtleneck.
trakta, but that's also a little
That's
different pronounced.
yeah, that's kind of what I was getting to.
I was like, I wonder how we're gonna
Okay.
pronounce this one.
Let's go around the room. I say Tracha.
I say
What you say,
trakta.
Fred?
Trakta, for sure.
Trakta?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
trachea.
That sounds
but
like,
Like, is he-
Russian or something.
Trakta. Yeah.
Does he have a Russian accent for you?
Now he does. Now he will.
Okay. Emily, how do you say it?
Trakta. I like how he said it, like Freddy.
Come on. All right.
It sounds better in
And
my head,
tie it up.
obviously.
Emma, how do you pronounce it?
Chakta, like a main
Tracta.
accent on it.
Hey, you got a
Chakta.
trakta?
Wicked Tracta. Awesome. Well, he can eat his lobster rolls with his cyborg fingers.
Yeah, there it is.
But I don't know how he eats with that breath mask. Man.
Probably doesn't
Well,
need to.
he's been through some stuff, and that's what they've gotten. That's what they've got in common. Is
They don't eat.
both Tom and Tracta have been
Oh, they're disabled.
That's
sure.
true. They're
was gonna say-
differently abled.
Yeah, there's
victims of tragedies.
yeah, they have a chat too of like their disabilities and how did you get yours? How did I get mine? You know, something like that. And it's actually very interesting because it leads us into a moment which is like very dark. He's like, I'm gonna be here for a few hours. You know, Moff Trakta, and it turns out to be the reason why he is handicapped. That dark Jedi that he saw, and he was, you know, probably going to town on him for hours, getting his. There was a lot of that, a lot of like dealing with ghosts, if you will. Right, so he was dealing with his
The
trauma.
titular
of-
Yeah,
Ghosts.
it goes to the
Yeah,
past.
yeah, exactly. Ghosts of the past, and you know he when Moff Trakta went into the ghost prison itself, and he found the exact person who is the reason for his disability. He just wailed in on him, probably the opposite of what you should do in a reality situation, right? You got to think about it, talk about it, etc. So very interesting that they showed kind of the past and the disabilities and how much it haunts them to this day.
Yeah, definitely. It's a thought-provoking series, but it's not explicit in hitting you on the head. It's not.
Definitely not.
It's over the head with its violence and its broodiness,
Yeah.
but it's not over the top. I said over the head. I always mess up expressions. It's 100 episodes of Legends Look Back at this point. If you haven't heard me mess up an expression yet, I don't know where you've been. It's not over the top with being explicit with its themes. It's over the top in other ways, in it being dark and being edgy and broody. But in themes like this, I think is where it really shines. The idea that we've all got to deal with our own trauma, and there's a right way and a wrong way. And
Yeah.
here's an example of the wrong way. Just seek vengeance on those who have done you wrong. Because it's he's got these physical disabilities, but it's like it's showing that it's eating him up from the inside out, and there's nothing that's going to satiate that desire.
That's what I was thinking. Like after he kills this guy, like what next? What is he gonna focus on? Right? What is he gonna do?
And yet the
That was my
characters
big
that have no
question.
conscience, that are eaten up by their trauma, are the only ones that survive at the end. So I'm not really sure what that says.
Yeah, that's
Well,
not
it's
a
showing you
great
that the
message.
Empire
Not a great
reigns.
look.
It shows that the Empire reigns. We're
True.
getting
Well,
into the dark
that's true.
times.
Yeah,
That's
we're
this
going
era.
into-
It's just kicking off the Empire.
It totally right. We're in the first like year probably. These academics, or maybe 4 years or so, however long it takes to go through it. I think
We
he had
got
even
3 or 4
specified.
months in the chat here from
Yeah.
Caleb Laminack.
Okay, there you go. 3 to 4 months after the fall. There you go, Caleb. Thank you there. I don't even
very
know where I was
early.
going with this. I got totally off.
Well,
track
she
with-
said the only characters that survive are the ones
so
who handle their trauma
the
most
story,
brutally.
Right? We're told the story from the point of view of Tom, and it's not TOM. It's what THOM.
Yeah, I kind of read it as Tomb.
Yeah.
Lieutenant Tomb.
TOHM.
Or Tom.
Thom.
I read it as Tom, but Star Warsy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I
I
definitely
unfortunately
got that
read it as Thom, which I'm absolutely positive it's not supposed to be because it sounds horrible.
Hey, Thom.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought Tom, just Tom.
But now I'm
regular
going to call him Tom.
I thought Tom was a good name because he's very much just like a Tom.
It's like
He's just like
it's like
a
Kevin
nice
from the
guy.
High Republic, you know?
See, but-
KEAVAN.
but
Oh, yeah.
Tomb
Right.
works because he
But
dies
that's our point
at
of
the
view.
end.
That's our point
true,
of view too, right? That's like our
Yeah.
story is. This is what he sees Darth Vader as: this monstrous, murdering, absolute, darkness surrounding him. He's super powerful. He's just walking out there as bolts are flying by and just slaughters things. So I can get that point of view. And he does, unfortunately, his demise. That I did not honestly see that coming until the Emperor put it in play, and I was like, there we go.
I saw it coming because he was just kind of wimpy. I just kind of found him as like
He underestimated the
he's-
dark side. That's for sure.
It's also don't underestimate it. Here's a big problem with Star Wars storytelling across the board. Original characters, you expect them to die. If there's a character that's not in the films, in the, I would say, originals or prequels, a new character that's created, personally, you expect that they're going to be gone.
Yeah.
That particularly if it's a story that fits in, like not expanding the story past Return of the Jedi, but
In
anything,
between 2 movies.
you just kind of assume they're going to die. The Rogue One problem,
Good
right?
point. Yeah.
You say, where are these people by the time of A New Hope? Oh yeah, there they go. They're all dead. That was kind of, and his name is Tom, and he's a little wimpy. From page 1, I just kind
Admiral
of thought
Tom.
that's right. I thought that. I thought, what's the song by David Bowie? Agent Tom?
Agent Tom.
Earth to Agent, what's it? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. I can't think of it.
Major Tom. That's what I was thinking.
Agent Tom.
With this entire book. Okay, I saw it coming. How about you guys? Freddie says he didn't see it
I
coming.
didn't see it coming.
I didn't either. I kind of, when it happened, I went, oh.
Yeah, I
Hold
had
on,
to reread
you called
it.
him Tomb through the whole book, and you didn't see it
Thom.
coming?
No, and normally I see these things coming, but like I literally had.
Yeah.
I think I was going back. I don't even think I caught it on the first read through. Actually, I was going back to get art, and I was like, I did a double take. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, who does he throw over the edge?
It was the moment that Palpatine said he could almost be a rival for you, and to me, that's Palpatine being Palpatine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got to challenge his Sith apprentice.
It's like, I thought we could get, like, a happy ending in Star Wars, you
Yeah.
know? But then we can't. It doesn't happen very
can't.
frequently.
No.
The story called... Hold on. You thought that the story... Darth Vader in the Ghost Prison, that was written almost entirely in shades of gray, you thought was going to be a happy ending?
I thought it was like an origin.
I thought
story
maybe they
for
were trying to
somebody.
throw a. Yeah, I thought they were trying to like throw us a curveball or something.
Yeah, mixed up.
Okay.
Like
I
keep
can
us
see
on
that.
the edge of our seats. You know, we all expect him to die, so make him live. You know what I mean?
And then on the very last page, he's...
Make him. Die.
I mean, that was
Vader's-
honestly
and it's
probably
an
the
epic
best
ending.
death of the whole thing because it was like everybody else is like
Oh,
super
yeah.
bloody, and it was like nah, just like he flicks him off the edge.
He says, never suffer rivals. And then the next 5-6
Yeah.
panels are just him falling. And it gets
Yeah.
grayer and grayer
Yeah.
and grayer. I mean, it was expertly done. You know, I think in terms of how well does this story achieve what it's setting out to achieve, it does it very well. Then the question is it trying to achieve something that's interesting to you? And I
Yeah.
think for a lot of people, the answer is yes. For a lot of people, the answer might be no. But we'll get to that in a second. So I've got a theory. You guys ready for this sweeping declaration?
Ooh, those
I'm
are
going to lay
good.
something out here. Tom is the template, the Tomplate, if you will, for Hux.
I could see it.
Why?
I can see
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
Why?
For sure.
He's redheaded. He's an Imperial true believer. He's a young gun right out the academy.
Mm-hmm.
He's ambitious.
Yeah.
What else?
I mean, the true believer part is really it, right? Tom is a true believer of the Empire and serving the Emperor, which was very interesting when Trakta... now it sounds like tractor to me. I'll never forget it. When Trakta told him, but if Gentis, right, Gentis succeeds, then he is the Emperor. So you serve the Emperor.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a kind of a catch-22. He's like, wait a minute, I guess I shouldn't really be loyal to the Emperor. I should be loyal like the Emperor. I should be loyal to whoever is the Emperor. And that kind of threw him a curveball, and you could see his thought on it. He didn't have anything to say. It was kind of and that's what I like about this comic book. I feel like obviously it's told through a report, and the report fills in kind of like the I guess professional version of what happened, and then you kind of get taken along through the ride of the comic, showing you the image of what's actually happening. And fairly interesting, honestly. I love the way not too much text. It was very few, and so there was a lot of panels that were empty,
very sparse.
Yeah, and it was all action based. I see. It feels like great. Honestly, I love this comic book. I can't believe I haven't read it since 2013.
It's so good. It's beautiful.
This is one that gets a lot of great reviews, and I had just never gotten to, because I've tried to save some of the great works of Legends for late in my Legends reading, just to save some things for after the Lando Calrissian trilogy that I will eventually one day finish. I will definitely finish it for sure. And I've tried to just save some of these that I've known are great and have just not yet touched. And I'm glad that I did. I mean, it's great. I've really loved it, and there's still some other good stuff out there I can't wait to dive into. Definitely. So you're with me on the Proto-Hux thing. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Lays
Can
the
I make
template
a
for Hux.
counterpoint
Ooh.
to
Yes,
your
sure.
Hux thing?
Absolutely.
Hux ended up being a spy in episode 9. I don't think Tom would ever do that.
But he said, you should have asked me yesterday. Remember when his friend, after the coup,
yeah.
he shoots his friend.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, you should have asked me before. I thought that was an interesting way to...
That part was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of that? Because I read it, and I it was one of those things where I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have to ask somebody else what they thought of that, because it didn't quite click with me, so I just kept reading.
Well, it didn't really click with me either, but because I didn't think he meant that he would have I feel like maybe he meant if things were different, if he hadn't if he wasn't officially an Imperial officer, if he hadn't met his hero, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because at that point he had no idea that Gentis was behind it. I don't know.
I read it as he felt so betrayed by his classmates, by his friends, even by his
Everybody knew
idol,
except for him. Yeah.
that they left him out. And because they left him out, he was going to serve Vader and take them down. He was so incredibly, as somebody who's been left out of a crowd, left behind by friends here and there, the desire to be right and to be included, to just be one of the guys, is so strong. I understood it as he was so miffed by the fact that his classmates, the FOMO was so strong, he was going to join Vader to destroy them.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay, now that totally makes sense. And if I'm not mistaken as well, when he shoots him, it shows both of his faces. So that's where I started thinking, I wonder if this is a theme. So we'll have to go check that again.
Yeah, after we read
Man,
it.
this is great. This gets deeper the more we talk about it. I love that. I love that. Moff Trotch, we talked about him a little bit. I just wonder, why doesn't Vader kill him? He seems so ambitious.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And he and Vader don't quite see things eye to cyborg eye. He at
Sensor
the
to
same
sensor.
time is a foil for Vader being a cyborg,
Yeah.
but also is a foil for Tom having gone through this trauma and is one of these young Imperial up and comers. Why doesn't Vader kill him? I'm not sure I get it.
I think Moff Trakta has a lot more power then we see, right, he's a Moff, and I think for some reason in terms of hierarchy, Vader, like when if you remember Grand Moff Tarkin, when he told Vader to basically stand down, he did, and that was an order from a superior, right? And of course Anakin in a past life respected Tarkin, but I feel like that's the same with Moff Trakta. Moff Trakta is not naive. He is not serving just the Emperor. He seems smart enough to know that it almost seems like he's trying to give Tom some insight of like, hey, you should probably wake up. This is not what you think. And I feel like he is a survivor because of all of that. And he is jaded, and he's there to serve whoever is the Emperor. He's not extremely loyal, but he's also got enough power where Vader, when he says stand down or whatever, he does.
There's this interesting line where he says that he would mentor Tom. Hey, Vader is a blunt instrument, but if you ever want to learn subtlety, come to me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what to make of that, other than to say he kind of had his own game here, and I wondered if he'd be used in later Legends stories, but obviously the Disney acquisition happens a few months after this, so we don't get to see this character, unless there's something I haven't read yet. I don't get to see this character developed beyond this.
Yeah.
I feel like Vader might think he can use him, like, as a... I think maybe Vader thinks he's, like, more loyal than he actually is. You know what I mean? Like, maybe Vader is misreading him a little bit.
Okay.
Like, oh, he can be used as my weapon. Because obviously, being a cyborg, he might almost respect him more in a weird way.
Good point.
Yeah.
Or disregard him,
That's a good
too,
point.
because he knows the Emperor's affinity for all things human. So, and Chakta is not quite all that. But I think he is... He lacks the cutthroat ambition. But he's very capable, which is why he's a Moff. But he doesn't really care to be in the room where it happens quite so much. I think he wants to play his own game and use his power for his own devices. So he's not a threat to Vader. I think that's why.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Well, I think he's not trying to be a Sith, right?
Yeah.
He's not trying to be some master. He's just staying in his lane. And unlike Tom was overzealous, and he definitely underestimated, I guess, how evil the dark side was, and that was his downfall.
Wow. Well said. We've talked about Tom. We've talked about Gentis. Now I'm second guessing how I'm saying all these names. We've talked about Vader here and there. The elephant in the room is the fact that Vader is not the main character of the story that has his name in the title. The story revolves around Vader.
Yeah.
Vader is a central mover in the story, but the story is told from a first-person point of view, from Tom's point of view in reporting the incident of the ghost prison. Was this effective for you? How did it affect your view of Vader? We've derided iJedi and Heir to the Jedi for their handling of the first-person narrative. I think it's a better handling of the first-person point of view. But does it succeed for you guys as a first-person narrative?
It really does.
Okay, Freddy says yes. Why?
Why? The fact that it comes from a report, right, is really cool. I love that style of writing where the narration happens via the text in the report. And so we see, if you were to just read just the report, it would read possibly boring. And at the same time, we get to see the images of what happened, as if we were there the entire time, just observing, which is kind of cool. I really liked the method, right, is we were just in the room reading the report and watching like a holovid, if you will, of the actual situation, and things that could have been left out from the report. For instance, like Vader asked me to keep this secret, but because this is for the Emperor, I'm not. Another reason why Vader probably saw Tom as a threat. Never loyal to Vader, which is a big deal. But I loved it. I love the whole report. It's creative. It's fun. it's a different type of narration, right? You're not just in the head; you're in the head of the person.
It does make it
wrote the
unique,
report,
that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of read it kind of
Emily?
like an old detective movie almost. Like there I was having coffee.
Oh, like a noir.
Yeah,
I love
something like that.
That's cool.
You know, so it kind of filters the first person narrative from like being cheesy to just kind of adding
Starlog.
a flavor to something. I don't know. I
Yeah,
thought it
definitely.
worked.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I like
I,
that.
I've
I like
got
that noir
a slightly
version,
more
but-
negative take,
yeah.
but Emma, what's yours?
I like a good frame story, and I thought it worked because it wasn't the comic wasn't always written like a report. Like it was written,
Yeah.
you know, there was like dialogue and stuff. Like it wasn't this like boring sort of business like writing. And I think that that's where first person stories can fail, is when they're trying too hard to write it in the style of whatever the frame story is. So I think that this one balanced it, you know, having a good frame story but not letting it overwhelm the actual style of the writing.
Yeah, that's great. You know what I felt like? It was a healthy mix of actual story and narration, right?
Yeah.
It was like, it wasn't over narrating the whole situation. It was
Right.
just maybe the entry point to, because that's what it seemed like mostly was
Yeah.
an entry point to the scene, and then the scene happens in full time as if you're there, and then it, you know, maybe something significant happens, and then you'll get entered into another entry into the report, if you will, and it runs it out, right? It's not trying
Right.
to over-explain it all. I like that.
Yeah, the fact that the dialogue, the text was sparse compared to the artwork. This was definitely getting into more modern comics compared to the 90s, compared to the Tales of the Jedi comics in particular, which I love. They're my favorite. But this is definitely more bridging the gap toward a modern era of Star Wars comics. Now, Emma, as the representative of the cosmic force, I'm going to pick a bone with modern comics Vader here and say
Okay,
that
do it.
this does it better, and here's why. Here, Vader is the shark from Jaws. Vader
mechanical?
is Vader. Vader is the dinosaur in Jurassic Park. He's not on screen for very long. What you're actually dealing with is all these other characters, and then Vader comes on the screen to be awesome and mysterious
Yeah.
and to kick butt. But the story's about these other characters. And so you only get glimpses of Vader through these other characters' points of view, instead of the whole thing being about Vader's trauma and his baggage. And, I mean, the modern, here we go, I'm going to pick a bone here. Modern canon Vader comics might as well be Vader goes to therapy, and we have to sit in on the sessions with him. There's more to it than that. I actually love the canon Vader comics. I'm
that's
just, you know, for the
spicy.
sake of the show. All right. For the sake of the spicy
Yeah,
takes,
I was gonna
Emily.
say, who doesn't like getting inside the head of a maniac? You know what I mean?
That's
Yeah.
Okay, that's a great point.
excellent.
You know-
Wow.
Emma, I never really pictured this, but you're right. I feel like the current era of storytelling is getting in the head of, you know, like the
Yeah.
Joker, for instance,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my gosh.
And seeing, not just thinking evil, and not just thinking, oh, this person's crazy and evil, but getting into the brain is actually kind of the horror of our current society, right? Getting into the
Yeah.
brain of people and really seeing what's going on, and acknowledging that this is a very capable or very possible thing. It could
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
And it makes
Yeah.
it scarier. I like that. Yeah, that's I've never
does.
realized that, but I feel like that is kind of the current genre of storytelling.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I can definitely see your point though, Jared, and that these are two very different Vaders that, you know, you either like one or you don't. Like that's so that, you know.
I love both.
That's
I
okay.
love both, for the record.
Yeah. No,
Yeah. They're
But
good.
you know, Legends did it better. Just for the
Okay,
sake of for the
okay.
sake of the debate, right?
we all know we all know what my comment is, so I'll withhold.
I mean, you saw I spent like $80 on the Canon Vader omnibus over here. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
did some great storytelling too.
Yeah.
All right, so one last question here before we wrap it up. We've talked about the titular ghosts. My biggest gripe with this whole freaking story: there's no ghosts. There's no ghosts.
There's
No
definitely
blue
ghosts.
glowies.
Are
We're
you
the
kidding?
ghosts
No
the whole
ghosts.
time.
I
I'm
want
afraid
to
of no
see.
ghost.
I want to see some, yeah,
When
the
something
moo-moos floating around
strange
and
in the neighborhood.
that's
We will
right.
call Ghost Prison.
The ghosts
It's
are all
literally told from the
metaphorical.
narrative of a dead guy. Like, that's a ghost. The ghost of
that's
Oh,
a good-
Vader.
wait a second.
That just dawned on me. Okay.
I mean, the ghost of
Okay,
Vader.
Emily,
like
you're kind of a
Anakin-
genius for that comment.
All right,
go-
unpack
okay.
it, Emily. Who are the ghosts? Who are the titular ghosts?
Okay, well, obviously Lieutenant Tom, or
Everyone's
Tom,
issues.
however you want to call it. Yeah, so he's literally a ghost coming back from the grave to tell you about his experience with Vader, and then through the through the whole story, you get they go back to the Jedi Temple, and you see Anakin's ghosts, like all of these old people that knew who he was
was
before
crazy.
Vader. Because he arrested them, and
Yeah.
they all die basically. So I mean, they're ghosts.
You know, this
It's
is
interesting.
this is my favorite part of Legends is when we have the prequels now to feed off of, and it kind of completes the story. Well, there's nothing obviously on the sequels, but it starts to ingrain some of the old Jedi stuff into the other stories, and it's really cool because back in 90s and stuff,
Yeah.
that didn't exist. We
Right.
didn't have any of that, and seeing Legends bring that in, it's almost like cool, I'm down.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's a
So
good
Tom is a ghost. Obi-Wan and his buddies, they're ghosts. Who else?
Everyone's dealing with ghosts.
Yes,
you know,
like the
Trachta
trauma.
and his trauma.
Tractus got his ghosts. Okay.
He made that dark Jedi into a ghost.
Yes, dealing with
yeah,
the
he
trauma
did.
of his past, Anakin confronting his past, and then Tom and Trachta both having past trauma.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh my
those are
gosh! And we
ghosts.
totally forgot. Like one of the main twists of the story was they went to this prison to release all of the Confederacy prisoners, right? The prisoners of war, and Vader just said, "I want you to fight amongst yourselves, and whoever comes out of this is who we're going to use to overthrow Gentis and everybody," right? And it's funny because the people who probably, and this goes to Caleb wrote an interesting comment that the failure of the Empire is possibly because it sacrifices some of its best officers.
Yeah.
And in that prison fight, you have engineers, probably generals, people with brain power who could be very useful, just exterminated in this fight. And the only ones that make it out are the ones that were, assassins or bounty hunters. Very interesting.
Yeah, another great point here from Caleb that he loves the story too. By the way, another great point from Caleb is that General Gentis has the ghosts of his sons leading him on. So
Yeah.
totally
can I
missed
tell you-
that one.
Can I tell
Missed
you
that
what
one
I think?
too.
The literal meaning of the title is.
Yeah,
I think they actually mean that the prison itself is hidden like a
Ooh,
ghost.
That too.
Yeah.
I think that's what it means.
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
probably
think
a
it's-
lot more basic than what we're talking.
It
There's
is.
another one. The ghost prison is Vader's armor. His armor is the ghost prison. The
Oh.
actual
Because without it, he'd be a freaking ghost.
the black. Wow. Okay, so his ghosts are trapped in the armor with him, like Obi-Wan and Yoda and Mace Windu and Yario Poof. All of those guys, they're the ghosts that make Vader into the monster that he is. They haunt him. Oh, it's so awesome! I'm
He
gonna
was-
bump
oh,
that up
man.
a whole 1/10 of a point in my rating.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Especially when Vader discovered what was said after what he remembers, right? Because obviously Tom doesn't know what's going on, but he was like, "I knew it." He was so pissed off at them and just utterly destroyed everything within his grasp. He was
And
He was
that panel in
absolutely furious.
particular, I'm an omnibus now.
Yeah.
That panel in particular is where it looks like he is fighting ghosts. I'm talking about specters here, all right?
Spectres.
The flowy glowies.
And
when
to
he
see
punches-
Obi-Wan, right?
Yeah.
Obi-Wan is just like, man, this isn't right. We shouldn't leave Anakin in the dark. And he kind of just says, well, you guys know better, but I got to go look at it myself.
I just had
gotta...
the biggest realization when you said that, Freddy. when
Okay,
you were
go
like,
ahead, do it.
when you were like, Obi-Wan said that Anakin shouldn't leave them, or they shouldn't leave Anakin out. That's kind of like what happened to Tom. Everybody left him out.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah.
Dude.
The story,
There's a lot of
so
ghosts,
deep.
and yet there's none. It's such an amazing double entendre.
Yeah.
It is maybe the best wordplay in all of Star Wars storytelling. Next to, what's the thing that, like the Hutt used there in Episode 1, when
Ichuta.
yeah, there it is. That's what I was thinking of. The best
Hey,
double
Jared.
entendre.
I hate that I know
since,
that.
Since
Scuba
Ichuta.
Skooma Joe just put something in the chat, which I would say is another link to the ghost theory of this whole thing is just filled with ghosts. Just similar to a ghost ship, right? This ghost prison was just operating on one Jedi and a bunch of droids.
Skeleton
and for
crew.
A skeleton crew. For all we know, if Vader never went out to go find this prison could have existed for as long as that Jedi survived, and then maybe more. So it's like a ghost ship, a ghost
Awesome.
prison.
Okay, so let's rate it. Let's go around the horn. I'll go ahead and give my rating first because I think mine's the lowest. I enjoyed it, but a big complaint, it's a little bit dark and broody and angsty 2000s of the time. It's a little bit, seems a little sexist. It is, ultimately for me, falls short in the fact that it's not consequential for all of Legends overall. It's just its own little self-contained story, and I like the things that are connected to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it like a 8.7. So it's good. It's like really, really good. Oh, we're not supposed to do numbers anymore. Dang
I
it!
thought it was like
Changed my whole thing. We've been doing 98 episodes of this.
Do you
and they
remember?
changed it up.
Do you remember them? Because I know them off the top of my head.
Oh,
Not a chance.
Okay,
Black.
Masterpiece.
It's the one master. Yeah. Okay.
Masterpiece, incredible, good. I think the next one is
Yeah, this is my big gripe.
Fair.
Is for me, it fits in between good and incredible.
okay.
It's definitely
It's
incredible.
probably
mine
incredible.
is
It's probably-
incredible, bordering
Okay.
on masterpiece.
All right.
Yeah,
Incredible
there
boarding
you
on
go.
That's
masterpiece.
where I
Okay,
was.
great.
I loved it.
Why?
It was just, it was beautiful. The art was probably my favorite art I've ever seen of Star
Yes.
Wars. I just thought it was really, just beautifully done. What they did with the color and the how they just drew all the characters. It was just absolutely gorgeous. So I loved that. I loved that the story was. I kind of liked that it was self-contained. I liked that it wasn't. You didn't have to know a lot going in, and that could be the only one you ever read, and you'd be fine. And it had a huge twist at the end.
You would not be fine. It would destroy you.
Well, I don't know. I just thought it was really fun. It was like a new story of Star
You could
Wars
read
no one
it.
had ever
It's
heard
just-
before,
yeah.
and like, yeah, big twist.
Great points all around for sure. It's very good. It's very good. I would say that's a fair assessment. Incredible bordering on masterpiece.
Almost a masterpiece. Almost.
Almost
Your
a
comment about it not
masterpiece.
being
Okay.
consequential for the rest of Legends it kept me from saying masterpiece.
Yeah. I would love to see, like, for instance, more of Moff Trakta and like what he's up to, and possibly.
To be fair, I wonder if they were gonna do more. It
Yeah.
seems like they were teeing something up here that this happened months before the Disney transition. Months before George sold the company.
before he had that dinner.
Imagine being Hayden Blackman, being the architect of this new story and finding out, everything in my life has changed.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so who knows what could have been, and that's what I love about Legends is we got what we got, and we just gotta enjoy it and think about what could have been and what we've got. Sir, Emma, your rating?
I think I'm gonna go with you, Jared. Good, almost incredible. Just the only thing that's holding me back from incredible is just the sexism. It's just bothering me. I don't know, the
Yeah.
sexism in it.
It's definitely inadvertent sexism, where like the more people become aware of it, they're just like, oh wait, this is probably not a good thing to say.
Yeah.
Just like everything, right? Like the more you learn, you're just like, oh. And at this time, I don't even know if 2012. Yeah, there was like a lot of gender rights and stuff, and
The world is changing at this point. in
Yeah.
time.
yeah, I would say it's like this is a critical time where things were starting to change, leading into like the 2020s, and 2012
agreed,
was like
because
the
it
early
wasn't-
part,
It wasn't as bad as other things I've seen in
Yeah.
like
Legends.
the early 90s.
Yeah, like it wasn't like like Shadows of the Empire bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, but it was
But
still
it's
enough
bloodier,
to kind of
so it's more violent.
Right.
though,
Well, there aren't a
which-
lot
and
of
it's
characters.
darker.
There are really only a couple of main characters, and they happen to be men.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
feel like you could easily have substituted a woman, and
Well,
it would have been fine.
Yeah, and it was fine. It was fine with me that there weren't any, female main characters. It was mostly like like what Freddy said, the inadvertent stuff, like referring to everyone as my sons, and all the men from the academy. Like it was just stuff like that, like
Yeah.
little tiny pet peeves of mine.
You're
But
just
other
like, oh,
than
this
that-
story isn't for me.
It's
Right,
honestly
yeah.
what could have been true though during the Empire, right? They're very
That's a good point. Maybe the
They're-
Empire was sexist too.
The Legends Empire.
the
at least.
Legends Empire. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
very
true.
sexist. And very anti-species of anything other than
Speciest.
Xenophobic, sure.
Speciest, yeah, speciest.
Yeah. No, that's a
So-
good point. It could be just showing that the Empire. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm down with that. But yeah, I enjoyed this overall. Like I thought it was really entertaining. There were some twists I
Yeah.
didn't see coming, and I thought the art was cool. It was different than anything I'd ever seen before, and yeah, I dug it.
The shot of Darth Maul's TIE what is that thing called? The Sith
Oh.
Infiltrator.
The fact that they had that still
Flying up on the ghost prison with this like,
Oh, wait,
green
I have that
and
picture.
foggy is so unbelievably cool. At the same time,
Oh, yeah.
man, that's so cool. At the same time, this story is so dark and edgy that I'm like, oh, it's kind of cringe. At the same time, I'm like, oh, it's so cool. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, and so I'm glad that not every Legend story is this way. I'm glad that we've got some bright stories out there like Tales of the Jedi, which I adore. And I'm glad we've got some things like this that is so very much what it is. Oh, Freddy's got a Sith Infiltrator. What is that, a Happy Meal toy?
possibly. It makes like the old cheap sci-fi sound. I don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah, I heard a little
Not
bit.
really.
Sounds like Buzz Lightyear's laser.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a lot of fun. I'm glad we got a chance to read this. I'm looking forward to reading the rest of the omnibus. How about you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would definitely read
Yeah,
this. I
totally.
really want to read more Vader comics now. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to dip into some of the Canon Vader to
yeah.
see that. I feel like there'd be a nice YOUTINI collection of, if you read a Legends book, what is a fun book to read after that to get some insight of what might be going on here. So like Ghost Prison, and then Emma, you pick a Vader comic that you think would be a great parallel to this one.
Vader
Like
2017.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is
that's
that
a
the one
good
I've got the
That's a
omnibus of
solid one.
down here?
I actually said last night on Cosmic Force that was my favorite comic by Charles Soule. So
Oh, cool.
Okay.
pretty high praise there.
I bet
I'm
that
gonna-
Freddy
I'm
has
gonna
read
take a-
Zero comics by Charles Soule.
Zero. Absolutely.
Well,
none.
listen,
Uh,
I mean, I can make you guys a list like right when we end here of good Darth Vader stuff in canon.
I'm in.
'cause
That sounds great.
yeah.
It's basically
Once-
all good, but like I'll give you the essentials.
Cool. That's it's not by choice. I'm trying to finish Legends first. Once I finish Legends, trying to get that.
We're getting there.
completion is part
End of the
me.
year, Freddie. 2022. We're gonna.
You know, Emma,
If
for the
Lando
sake of,
doesn't become my eternal speed bump, we will get
For
there.
the sake of others that would be interested in learning a little bit more, can you give us like 3 comics you'd recommend for Vader? People who, if
Yeah,
you liked
definitely.
this, then you'll probably like this.
Yeah, I'll give 3 trades because I can't boil it down to 3 issues.
Okay.
But I'll give 3 trades.
That's fine.
That's what I'll do. Yeah, love it.
So,
Oh, you want it right now?
Yeah, right now.
Later. Okay.
I thought you meant like post it in Discord later.
Biting my nails. Ah!
You
Okay,
can post it in
okay, here
Discord
we go.
too if you need a little more time to think. But just for people who are listening or want to learn a little
Okay,
bit more.
this is
So
like
you
my
said
preliminary
2017,
list.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, but
2017?
there's like 3 or 4 trades in that.
Okay.
Okay, Darth Vader 2020 volumes 1 and 2. Friggin' insane. Amazing. Masterpiece.
Is that the one where Vader gets all his limbs chopped off?
Yes.
Okay.
Ooh.
It's insane. And he relives all his traumas and all that. And then I can't remember
Like I said, it's like going to therapy with Vader.
yeah. I can't remember which volume number this is. I will definitely post it in the Legends Look Back channel in Discord later. But there's a volume in 2017 where he like goes back to the Jedi Temple and does some crazy stuff there. So I'll
That's
have
the
to
one
look
with
that up
Jocasta Nu?
afterwards. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, that one's great. The volume 2, the second trade.
Volume 2, yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I mean, basically anything in 2017
That's cool.
and anything in 2020 up to Volume 2 is like peak
Up
Vader
until Boba
stuff.
Fett showed up and ruined everything.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, some
Love it.
great recommendations
It's true.
for sure.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me
Definitely.
share some canon love on here.
Yeah, and with that,
Totally.
we're gonna close it out. Okay, so no, we love it all over here for sure. We've got coming up next week on the Living Force the best Padawans in Star Wars, and I hope the list is 90% Legends because there's some great Legends Padawans. You got Scout, and then the one that is in the Darth Maul Shadowhunter. That one's coming out the re-release
Wait,
later this summer.
what was Scout in?
A bunch of stuff.
I feel like she's
Yoda?
familiar to me for some reason.
Yoda, Darth Rendezvous. She's in a few random little stories. I can't remember.
Okay. I'll look her up on the Wook later.
Yeah, a little bit of here and there. Her name is like Elizabeth Vanderhersey or something.
Oh,
really
you know
goofy.
why I know that? Oh my goodness! Because
What a reaction.
That was very strong.
the bedtime. Star Wars Archives has been doing bedtime stories on YouTube.
Yeah.
And the one Trev gave me was from her perspective.
Awesome.
That's why. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There's some great ones in Legends. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then-
speaking of which, you guys need to, anybody who hasn't checked out Star Wars Archives, probably one of the best things that has come across my lap. The bedtime stories are fantastic. We're bringing this stuff to life at YOUTINI, and I'm a part of it. Jared's a part of it. Emma, you've done some stuff. So check it out.
I did too. I
Is
just
it
forgot to
is it a
post it.
Patreon exclusive, or is that on?
No, you get it through. I think it's 3 months early if you're a patron. So.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely worth paying for. It
Yeah.
might be the best show at YOUTINI. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's amazing work they're doing over there. I like to think that they're bringing things to life that nobody would ever learn about if it weren't for Trev.
Oh yeah, trust
Yeah,
me. I
that's
was
a
a
fact.
part of
Nobody
that.
would ever learn about. And so that's coming up over there on Star Wars Archives. On the Cosmic Force next week, what do we have, Emma?
Yeah, we're talking about our favorite Star Wars comics of all time, which is, I'm shocked we haven't done this show before. I mean, we've obviously mentioned here and there what our favorite comic is, but just to combine it all into one show, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And also
Oh,
we have
cool.
Timothy still guest hosting, so it'll be fun to hear his picks.
We
Yeah,
love
very
talking to
fun, for sure. We've got a big episode of Legends Look Back coming up in a couple weeks with Corey. We're going to do like a big Legends celebration of everything we love about Legends, and there will definitely be core and horn. But before that, we've got coming up next week, July's monthly catch-up show with our piles of loot, our Thraken's thrift stores, our listener feedback, the Legends race to the finish, all of that ridiculous nonsense that you know and love. But for now, that does it for this week. Thanks for joining us here on Legends Look Back. Thanks to our incredible patrons for your support. Thank you especially to the Jedi High Council, Brian Dooley, Earl Q, Patrick Ortiz, Carl Sander, the Alliance High Command, Elizabeth Cloutier, Sally, and Chris Eilerson. Remember, everybody, to sub to the channel on YouTube. Leave us a review in your podcast platform of choice. And, of course, if you'd like your thoughts read on the show, such as the amazing, beautiful comment, the email that we got the other day from our buddy over there, the pool hat guy. Oh, man, what's his name? We just call him the pool hat guy.
The Corey cosplayer.
That's right, the Corey cosplayer. Blanked on his name. It's been a long show. Anyway, we'll get back around to make sure we'll read that next week. Get some fantastic listener feedback. You can, of course, get your feedback into us. Elliot. There it is. I got it. Elliot. Thank you, Elliot. And we'll read that next week. Thank you to everybody who sends us feedback. Next week, we will read some of it. You can email us at legendslookback@youtini.com. You can send a message in the Legends Look Back Discord channel. You can leave a comment on this episode on YouTube. Or you can find us on Twitter at Legends Look Back, or I'm at Jared Q. Mays. Freddy.
At Wake Up Freddy.
Emily.
At Darth Daybeck.
And Emma.
At Irma Jedi 26.
Wonderful. Excellent. And make sure that you ask Emma all of your canon Darth Vader questions, because she can field them way better than the three of us. Of course, if you're looking to buy some of these books, such as the 994-page omnibus that we talked about tonight, it's too heavy. I can't even pick it up with one hand over there. Such as the Empire omnibus hardcover from Marvel, you can go on over to youtini.com, click the Amazon link in the profile. You can grab your book and give us a whopping 4% of the sale to help us keep the lights on. It really does make a big difference. And after you've read the book or the comic, you let us know what you think. Leave us a review. And of course, remember to keep the YOUTINI fan code and be a force for positivity and fandom. May the force be with you.
This is a YOUTINI broadcast.